Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to show you the project, the build that I've been working on for the past couple of days, which is an int/accuracy stacking wonder in that case, right? So it is kind of the typical wonder as you would know it, with like kinetic blast and power siphon and things like that, right? Kinetic blast and power siphon. But it has some better or other different tweaks on it. For example, using Storm Rider boots that we know from the accuracy stacking. So Sentinel League did give us these new little toys, what I would call them, the recombinators. And they do actually have some recombinator only modifiers, namely intelligence stacking on your boots, for example. This also exists for strength stacking, it exists for dex stacking and stuff. But I said, like, wait a second. We could technically get this intelligence mod on Storm Rider boots, then use something like the Shaper's Touch to benefit from the additional accuracy per intelligence, as well as increased evasion rating, and we could get a new and probably better way of making an in-stacking character. I want to mention this very at the beginning. This is an expensive build. This is work in progress. I still have some very disgustingly bad items. For example, an Ascendancy. My wand doesn't even have the spell damage wand. My other ring doesn't even have intelligence. You know, at the end of the day, you have to think about how much intelligence should a good intelligence stacker have. And my opinion would be around about a 2,200. You know, some have like close to 2,000, some have like more like 2,500. While my character is sitting at 1,400. So there is still hundreds of intelligence missing, and so I just want to let you know, like, keep this in mind if you see the showcase. There is still so much more room to improve for improvement. But before we're going to talk about how this thing works, what is the special tweak on it, why do we use like something like Divergent Precision now with the accuracy boots, and why do we actually have in Hideout like 38,000 evasion rating? I don't even know if my grace is on. So pretty nasty stats actually. So I would say let's run a map. Let's just run any of like, cemetery map. Or maybe, no, wait a sec. We're gonna do this different. We're gonna run one of my beautiful Crimson Temple maps. And then we're gonna just find a Mage Blood, and then we are pretty good on that, right? It is technically like easy explained. I would say it's an 80% or let's say 85% intelligence stacker and 50% accuracy. So don't think like just because I make it in accuracy stacking that we're focusing primarily on both at the same time. That's not the case, right? It is a full grown out in stacker that does use accuracy stacking as like a second source of like kind of defense, right? But, you know, Kinetic Blast Wonder playstyle is pretty simple. Kinetic Blast with, like, additional projectiles with the... Or at least additional projectiles in one hand from our, Deadeye Sub-Ascendancy, as well as, like, Pierce and stuff like that. I mean, everybody knows that Wonders do clear, like, pretty sick, actually, right? And we use Power Siphon for a little bit more dedicated single-target DPS. But overall, I want to make a different take on this, right? If you think about instackers are usually not really tanky. Not even if you spend mirrors on it, because they don't really have defenses. And with defenses, I'm talking about evasion, I'm talking about armor, I'm talking about damage mitigation. Like, what does an instacker have besides being CI and being immune to chaos damage? But other than that, it's more of a do not get hit perspective, right? So here's like... Yeah, it's like two power siphons per boss, and the damage is there. The damage is definitely there, even on my... I cannot even call this budget version. Accuracy, like, in-stacking is just a very expensive thing to do, like, on every stat stacker, right? And what you need is stats, and if you don't have the stats, your build will have less defense, it will have less damage, and so on and so forth, but... These builds have the potential to be the undisputed best builds in the league, especially now since we can get multiple sources of an in-stacking stat, like on the boots, and combine that with the accuracy stat stacking. You know, you have the potential to get the craziest shit builds going, and I think I heard the swing sound, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just like, wait a second. I think I heard something. But it might be my mind, you know, my mind is playing tricks on me, dude. Because I'm like, hearing swing sounds every single day, left and right. But hey, who knows? Let me quickly check if there is a T4 seat, because I'm currently doing challenges, but as of the looks, there is no T4 seat. There's like some tier 3 seats though. How do you even see if it's a T4 seat? Because I haven't seen one in such a long time. But I think if you have a T4 seat for the boss challenge, I think you would actually know. Because this is like a tier 3 seat, I think. This like weird thingies. But yeah, anyways. I would say let's talk about the build in general. What are the thought processes of making this? As well as the improvements and how to make a build like that. In stacking is pretty much a thing that exists since a long time, you know, where you are scaling, for example, adds lightning damage to attacks per 10 intelligence, right? There is another mod that I currently do not have that exists on the wand as well as on the amulet, which is the mod, where is it? Somewhere over here, I think. Increased spell damage per 16 intelligence. So there's even a mastery over here, right? So you're gonna have like a shit ton of these modifiers, and then every 10 points or every 16 points of intelligence will give you the next breakpoint, will give you increased spell damage, will give you increased lightning damage. And this is actually the standard way of doing it, right? Just now with the masteries, we have even more access to get more damage out of it. I think in a perfect world with like, let's assume I have like a mirror tier item in every spot, I'm pretty sure with like a Squire version, I could get over 300 million DPS with the way of like this accuracy stacking built into. But that's like, you know, so far away that I don't even want to think about it, right? And on top of that, so not only do we get the spell damage per int and the flat damage, we also now gonna have the Storm Rider boots that says 1 to 6 attack, lightning damage per 200 accuracy. So there are a couple of nodes on the tree that benefits that. For example, the wand mastery intelligence is added to your accuracy rating with wands, which is super nice. That's like free accuracy, right? Then we have sources like divergent precision. We have things like war banner that all give us more accuracy rating, as well as like, for example, my synthesized string that I have here, percent intelligence, as well as percent global accuracy rating. My Crown of Ice does have increased accuracy rating. So you see that we're gonna add more and more sources of accuracy. I don't know exactly how much I have right now. I think it was, I think we need to test this on KB. Sure, or like 12,000. You know, 12,000 is still like quite a decent amount of extra damage that we add to an already existing instacker model build that benefits from all of that. But not only do we add damage, we also add defense thanks to the Shaper's Touch. So this is like the key factor here, the synergy, right? So we get additional 4 accuracy per 2 intelligence. So hey, we're intelligence stacking, right? Let's assume I would have like 2,500 intelligence, and this multiplied by 4. So the gloves alone, or actually divided by 2, is like 5k basically. So the gloves alone would actually give me 5k energy, like accuracy rating, which then benefits my Storm Rider boots again, right? Then we also get increased evasion rating per intelligence. So this is something that is mostly overlooked on that kind of thing. You know, you have on the bottom side, increased energy shield per strength, evasion per intelligence, and melee fist per dexterity. So why is this actually a thing? Because since we're using Storm Rider boots, which are an evasion base, our Aether's Reflection does have evasion on it. Our Shaper's Touch do not have evasion on it, but we have sources of evasion. I'm also running a Grace. That means now since Intelligence doesn't only get my damage up, but also my defense, in Hideout I have 40k evasion. There is no Mage Blood or something, right? And with like a Jade Flask, I would be up at 54,000, which is 86% chance to evade attacks as well. And on top of that, since I don't want to play a glass cannon build, I want to get ailment immunity as well as 100% spell suppression. So the melee hits do not really bother us because we're gonna have at some point with the appropriate intelligence stacking, and we're probably gonna end up having like 90% chance to evade attacks. And if the spells go through, I have 100% chance to suppress spell damage, so they're only gonna do half the damage, right? So as you see, there is some kind of synergy in all of these kind of items, and these are the builds that I really enjoy. We just scale everything at once. There are some minor things where I'm thinking like, yes, sometimes I do just get straight up one-shotted from like Omniphobia and 100% Deli map or something, right? He just walks up to me, boom, dead, you know, one shot, because the 85 evade wasn't enough to counter his attack, for example, right? So it made me think like maybe we could take a chest that has like iron reflexes as the keystone, since we know this is about, or is kind of possible with the what do you say, with the sentinel modifiers, you can get keystones. And if we have so much evasion and we just go iron reflexes, we're gonna get hit by everything. But in the end of the day, we're gonna have like 90% fist damage mitigation for the most part, so we will be able to survive those hits, for example, right? But the way I played right now with just the evasion, I do add in some ghost dance. So ghost dance is I would say an old trickster node, which was one of the points why Trickster was so good. You gain a Ghost Shroud every 2 seconds, you know, and in Hideout I have here my 3 Ghost Shrouds, and when I get hit, it says, when hit, lose a Ghost Shroud to recover energy shield equal to 3% of your evasion rating. And hey, boys, we have a lot of evasion rating. So if I get hit, I will recover to 100% energy shield pretty much instantly. If I get hit, you know, we still have 90% evade to, or 85, 83% evade to get hit in this case, right? So I think that makes it pretty good. Other than that, let's talk about, yeah, the keynotes. Like, what is insanely cool on this build? What is like insanely expensive? So as I said, my way of doing it right now, I try to be 100% ailment immunity without using purity of elements, because we only have a certain amount of mana reservation. And if we use auras like Wrath, Discipline, Grace for the evasion, then we have Precision, we have War Banner, and I think somewhere a level 1 Clarity for my Watcher's Eye here, right? I cannot fit another Aurain, right? So I tried to find ways to actually get the ailment immunity, and I achieved this by adding the Essence Craft on my boots, which is just like a T1, also like avoid elemental ailments 35%. Then we do have this Arcane Sanctuary, which has another 25. Then I spec'd into the Shield Master, which is another 20. And then I solved this currently. This is not the best way of doing it, right? But this works for now. I use like this new, Impossible Escape with the Elemental Equilibrium to then get here 1 max rest and chance to avoid elemental ailments to get me to the 100%. But there is also Accuracy, Global Accuracy, and All Res, and we are starved on All Res for my Stormrider boots, as well as here is like a Leech node, increase attack speed while on full life, and we say more leech and stuff like that. And we are playing a CI build. We're always on full life. That's why you also use like a damage on full life support. CI is always 100% life, is always full life, because you only have 1 life, and if that's gone, then you lost 10% experience, or you're gonna restart the character on hardcore, basically, right? What else is interesting? That's also why I picked up a Raider Deadeye Ascendancy. So I spec'd into Occultist for the additional curse, for the stun immunity, and for the effect of curses and stuff like that, right? And for the intelligence alongside the way. But then as a second, I went for Deadeye/Raider. Most people would go for either the Berserk because of the increased damage, the Rage, and as well as you can use Berserk, but I don't think a Rage mechanic on a non-Berserk is kind of trash, just because you can only get like 3 Rage per second, and so that means technically, if I want to get the most DPS out of it, I need to hit the boss for like 20 seconds until my rage bar is full so I can pop this Berserk, right? And for map bosses, I don't need a 50 rage Berserk. So I just want to make a good build and not like, yo, the only purpose of this build is being rank 1 on PoE Ninja, right? Because all of these like over 100 million DPS instackers, they are not ailment immune, they are not stun immune, they are not having spell suppression, they are not having anything of that. All they care about, big numbers, and I think this is just the wrong approach to any build, you know? Defense first, then the damage. So the way I did that is I just bought Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flash, and Deadeye is extremely expensive. Like we talk, last time I checked, I think it was like 20-30x to get Deadeye, right? But what I did is, okay, how much is the Raider one instead? And Raider was so cheap, I think for both together it was like 3x or so. So I just respect my Raider Ascendancy into Deadeye and just bought the Forbidden Flash for Raider because it's cheaper. But Raider gives me spell suppression, it gives me movement speed, it gives me onslaught and full frenzy charges, it gives me facing, and chance to gain a frenzy charge when you hit a rare or unique enemy. And the next point would be, for example, enchanting my belt with 30% increased accuracy rating while I have Onslaught. So that will be the next synergy that we like, the combination of this like int stacking and accuracy stacking, which is pretty good in my opinion. And then Deadeye for the increased effect of marks. We use Sniper's Mark. We have increased damage for clearing, we have an additional projectile, and hey, we have Tailwind. Tailwind, more action speed, more movement speed, more attack speed. It just like this feels better moment, right? Yes, I know Berserk in the end, if I pop it in PoB, is more damage, and it is, you know, but I also take more damage, and I don't know, like, I think at some point I'm gonna have so much damage, or plenty damage, that I will not have any issues doing any content, so I'd rather stay alive and not, like, use the 6 portal map strategy, right? I would rather use 1 portal and have a good time, basically, right? Good, what would be the next thing? The highest investment probably are these, like, cluster jewels. So, in the best case scenario, you wanna have 35 effect, then you wanna have 8 intelligence, 4 all attributes, and T1 ES, right? I have like the perfect prefixes on this one, like 35% and 12 ES. And on the other, my second one, I have the perfect suffixes, I think, with T1 intelligence and attributes, right? So, but I think like if you get the perfect combination, this is actually a mirror tier large cluster jewel because on how hard it is to hit, because none of them is like deterministic attribute, and the other one effect. And the only thing that you can do is actually get the T1 ES with a defense reroll, but then you still have to hit the 35%. Like, these cluster jewels can go for hundreds of exalts if you actually hit the perfect one. Just like for the measurement, you could make this build, you could spend 20 mirrors on it and still probably not even be done, right? But I do not, absolutely not recommend doing this on a low budget. You know, below, I don't know, like 150x or so, I would just not even think about this, because the build will feel absolutely terrible. I remember when I put this together for the first time, I spent like maybe 50x or so, you know, and then I was like struggling in red tier maps. I did not have any defense. I had like 4k energy shield. I had no damage. I was dying non-stop. I wasn't ailment immune, you know, like it was terrible, man. Any other build for 3x would have outperformed that instacker for 50x, more or less, right? If you just get the idea. But the more you pick up on intelligence, the better your character will be, and then you get a breakpoint where you say like, oh boy, my character feels amazing now, right? And I kind of have this state with missing the double influence or the influenced weapon, with missing the second ring, with missing like a lot of things that I need to do still, right? I can do all content, but I cannot do, like, I did try one simulacrum, and 29 was the wave that I died on, but I only tried once. Maybe I was just unlucky with the mods, I don't know. But I did not do the 30, and I tried my first Uber Pinnacle boss, and I did fail, okay? So that just tells me, okay, in my current investment, I'm fair to do all the content, all the endgame bosses whatsoever, but Simulacrum 30 and the Uber Pinnacle bosses are still a problem. So I need more investment, more intelligence, more defense, more damage, and then at some point, you're gonna be good, right? And that's why I kind of want to put this build on a hold position, because I'm playing this like since a week now, and I really want to try out other builds since I'm like super motivated. It's still league start for me, right? I'm still like pumping, and there's so many builds that I want to try, but I'm kind of locked on this character, and I'm like, I need to invest more, I need to get this going, I want to make a build that deals with all the content, but as of right now, I would rather play other characters, right? So I'm maybe gonna strip this build partly, like I want to keep like my int accuracy ring, I want to keep my boots, I'm gonna talk about the boots in a second here, right? But the rest, like, I can always get Shaper's Touch with Ela Weakness. I can always just rebuy the gems and so on, right? The chest is garbage anyways, right? But I'm probably gonna strip this like to 80%. Just with selling the stuff that I can buy later on as well, you know? And then just come back later. Because, for example, I spent like 30x of Divines in Lethal Prides just to hit Intimidate on this node over here, right? So there is just so much currency and so much brain power going into this build already that I want to finish it, right? But I don't think that I want to finish it as of right now, 2 weeks into the league, right? Good, let's talk about these boots. How you get those? So basically, you need the boots, okay? The stat, okay? Stormrider boots is something simple, right? Any Stormrider boots. But we are talking about per 10 intelligence. We are talking about the flat mod on the boots. And this mod here is a result of combining energy shield boots with recombinators, and you're able to get this sentinel mod. And this is currently going for like 10 to 15x, okay? 13, 14, whatever, you know? Just this mod alone. So, you cannot roll the Storm Rider boots with this mod. And that means you have to get this pair and then mix it with Storm Rider with recombinators and hope that it gets the right base and it transfer the in-stacking mod onto the Storm Rider boots. This attempt cost me about 50 exalts. I think I failed like 4 or 5 times with trying to merge it, and I always ripped the boots with the in-stacking mod, right? I got Storm Riders sometimes, but just, you know, it was a lot, right? And then a friend of mine said, yo, I have a fracture, YOLO your boots, and we actually hit it, you know? Which is pretty good, because now I can just SS spam, I can do whatever I want with these boots, and the int mod is safe. But I'm just saying, first of all, you need to get this int modifier through recombinators, then you need to recombinate this one with Storm Strider boots to actually get this int mod over here. And this is like always like a 50-50 for the right base. A 50-50 does the int mod survive. A 50-50 of like this and that. These boots alone can get pretty expensive, right? But you don't have to do the int accuracy stacking. You just follow along with the normal int stacking build. But I'm just saying, like, my build here is based around int accuracy stacking, which is like a fresh wind into int stacking. And I do actually think that this build has the potential to become the strongest in-stacking build of our time, thanks to recombinators, right? Good. I'm gonna leave you still with my current PUB, that it is, or at least that is what it is. Wait, intimidate. You can make up your own decision on if this is worth it or not. And if you wanna, like, try to toggle along with, like, trying to make like a build like that, right? But as I'm just saying, the potential is there to become the strongest. I'm still gonna leave it with my 14 or whatever intelligence stacker that I have, because I think I've done a lot of like brain working in there already, especially when it comes to like the points and everything, and trying to solve problems. But if I would say quickly, what would be the next upgrades? I would say the wand. You do not want to have a sin. I bought this one for 1 exalt and then just spammed some essences, and then I open prefix. Oh yes, let's craft some elite pen. What you want to have is or at least a wand that is hunter influenced. You want to have essence or T1 lightning damage on the prefix. You want to have the lightning damage per intelligence, as well as the spell damage per 16 intelligence. For your prefixes and suffixes would be attack speed, critical strike chance, and something like that. That would be like your endgame weapon. For the amulet, you want to have a double influence. I think it was like Shaper Crusader or something. You need to check this one. But it has essence crafted, or at least intelligence, percent intelligence, and percent attributes. And on the prefixes, I don't know, ES, damage, spell damage per intelligence and stuff. There is like insane amulets going, right? And if I wonder, like, what is better, a synthesized amulet with percent intelligence or the influenced one? And I have to say the influenced one wins quite by a mile, actually. If you have a decent or a pretty good in-stacking amulet with influence, this outshines the just the influence modifiers, right? Other than on rings, where you cannot like get any percent intelligence somewhere or percent stats. So you want to heat out for synthesized rings with percent intelligence, right? To get this going, as well as on the belt, intelligence all the way, and maybe some other good stats that you can get. But the biggest problem is always like resistance, so I actually have to run a couple of like percent to all elemental resistance just to get my res cap, and I'm actually barely res cap, as you see. Like, I'm like 10 over res cap on some parts, you know? So as soon as I want to get another jewel, I'm like questioning, like, where do I get the resistance from? Usually over here you would go for the projectile nodes, but I went from the left side just to get an extra fire and cold res, you know? So as I said, getting resistance on this build without a purity of elements is kind of rough, but I don't think I have the mana reservation that to actually get a purity of elements in. Other than that, bottle phase, like diamond flask, jade flask, quicksilver flask, pretty much the average. I think all the gem information, like, this is a high-end build, I would say, right? So I think I do not have to explain too much about the gem setup and stuff. I think the information that you need are going to be provided in the POB itself. I just want to, like, give you guys my way of thinking, my thought process on why do I want to do things, and why do I think it's good, right? And maybe for the MTX, we have the big brain helmet. Sadly, it's not in the ultimate form because I'm short like 40 intelligence. Wait, let me actually check this. Wait a second. Just for reference, okay? I think I'm just gonna revert some points and skill like, so we need like 2 points. If I get 2 points from somewhere, let's just do Ghost Shrouds and Power Charge and get this int node, I have the 1500. Now we're actually having a big brain. And I think with this Astral project thing, transmog that I'm running, or MTX, I think it looks so much better than just having no. Because if I take away the Astral effect, this is like... It's weird, you know? But the Astral effect makes it look so freaking cool, like... You know, just some magical appearance with a floating or big bouncing brain over here. It's like so nice, especially with the eyes and like this... The mana tank that I have on the back, it's just, I think this MTX is great. Running the Celestial Necrolord armor, the mana tank Celestial, the Thunderstrike gloves, as well as the Stormstrider boots, Celestial footprints, Astral character effect, Stygian crystallized charges. We have the Nightfall weapon, the new Sapphire splintering shield with double Astral weapon effect. So both are like having like this shiny appearance. I just love this MTX. The Primordial Head, the Pitch Black Bandana, some Flask effects from like the Kirax Pass and so on. And the rest, auras are disabled. Celestial, Kinetic Blast, and Power Siphon, and the Astral Portal effect. Nothing too crazy over here. Alright guys, I'll keep you guys updated on this build at some later stages. As I said, I want to move on and try some other things, but I'm 99% sure that I keep something like the boots because I know how hard it is to make those, and maybe my int accuracy ring and stuff, so I can later on, when I have like more currency, that we can finish up this build. But I still want to make this video to give you guys a hindsight where you say like, yo, maybe this is something I'm looking out for. Maybe this is something that you guys want to build, so just go for it if you think that's like a nice build that you want to play. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.